Attention Austin guitar players and bass players. Are you in need of setup or repair on your axe? Well, I have the guy for you, gang. That's Jason Swedberg over at J. Scott Lutherie, and you can find him at J. Scott Lutherie on Instagram. Now, if you listen to the show, you know I've been talking about Jason for years. Why is that? Because I've been taking my guitars to Jason for over 20 years. Not only does he do the best job, but he has the best prices and the fastest service in town. Again, find him at J. Scott Lutherie on Instagram. Not only is he doing an amazing job repairing and setting up guitars, he is now building guitars. That's right. He built me an SG Junior, which I have, and it sounds amazing. It feels great. It's the very first SG Junior he ever built. I've got a J. Scott Lutherie SG Junior. You can go see him at J. Scott Lutherie on Instagram. Get a guitar built. Get your guitars fixed. Get them set up. It's time, man. They've been hanging on the wall all through COVID. Now it's time to get them out, get them fixed, and get out there and play. J. Scott Lutherie on Instagram. Let's get down.
And you may ask yourself, well, how did I get here?
It's time for How Did I Get Here? Now here is your host, Untitled.
All right. Hello, I'm Johnny. I'm your host. Welcome to the show. I hope you guys have all had a good weekend, whatever it is you did this weekend. There was a lot going on this weekend, huh? Maybe you guys went out to Old Settlers Fest, saw some of that music out there. I saw a lot of great people playing out there. Also, a lot of great people playing out at the F1. My friend Dossie and I texted back and forth, hey, you having a good time? Yeah, I'm having a good time. She was playing the Red Bull stage or whatever. Money Chicha, I think, was playing out there, or Brownouts. One of those guys was playing out there. Who knows who is playing out there? It's a crazy weekend, man. Styx played on Saturday, and you know what? I had to pass on going to see them because my dog Rosie got spayed on Friday, and I felt bad. It was going to be a long evening of leaving her alone. Her mommy was busy all weekend with work and stuff. So I just passed on going out there and stayed with the dog. But I stayed in, did some stuff. I actually made a playlist on Spotify, which I'll put a link to in the text of this podcast. But it's How Did I Get Here? Music from episode 1000 to 1099. Normally I do those for every 99th episode. I make a special show with like my own little playlist of like 10 songs, but then I make an expanded playlist for Spotify. But this is on Spotify. Guys, this playlist has 3 hours and 54 minutes of music. Music from Anastasia Hara, Aubrey Keys, Bad Business Club, The Bell Sounds, Ben Buck, Ben Jones, Blackalak, Bob Schneider, Caleb DeCasper. Sorry, it's all alphabetical order, so I'll scroll down a little bit. Here we go. Go Fever, Aaron Ivey, Grace Pettis, Graham Wilkinson, Israel Nash, Jamie Harris. Good Lord, Kev Bev, Lady Heartwing, Langhorne Slim, Larry Seaman, Leyline, The Licorice Quartet, The Los Sundowns, Marching Beauty, Math Judson, Mobley, Money Chicha, Nathan Harlan, Nobody's Girl, Styx is on here even. Yeah, because I talked to them. Zach Person, Yate, all kinds of people. Go out there and check it out. I will put a link to it in the text of this podcast. It's also on our Facebook page. If you have not liked our Facebook page and you are on Facebook, go like it. You'll get updates about the show. You'll get pictures. You can follow our stories. I put sometimes pieces of conversation up there. You might get enticed to go listen to a show. So go like our Facebook page. It's How Did I Get Here? Also, like our playlist. How Did I Get Here? Music from episodes 1000 to 1099. So much music on there. So much music. I hope you check it out and you enjoy it. Otherwise, guys, this weekend, I made that playlist while I was laying low. I've worked on some podcast stuff. I've worked on some music stuff. I worked on some Austin Music Foundation artist development program stuff. There's a lot of stuff going on. We're about to go into the studio and make a record. We've actually been working with this class, but we haven't announced it yet. So on Friday, we'll be announcing our ADP 5, which is our 5th year of artist development program at Austin Music Foundation. Very proud to be a part of it. Me and my friend Einar Peterson making a record with Frenchie Smith and all of these great artists, which we will announce on Friday. Pretty exciting. Gang, are you doing all right out there? You hanging in there? You feeling all right? You making it through? Okay, because it's yeah, I know there's some people out there that are still getting freaky. There's some people that are people are traumatized from the last year and a half. or 2 years or however long it's been now. I don't even know how long it's been. But some people are just traumatized. And I understand that. I mean, it's been a long fucking time, you know? You know what's funny is like when 2020 first started and the darkness all started, and then we went into the summer of 2020, which was an extremely heavy summer. So many protests, the murder of George Floyd, and everything that ensued after that. People were making some pretty heavy music. Now, what I'm noticing is as we're coming out of it, some people are like, hey, man, let's just have a good time again, man. Can we do that, please? Which is true. So at some point, music's got to do, like, it can inform, it can reflect what you're feeling, but then it can also inspire you to feel a certain way, even though you don't. And that's like lifting, like in the 70s, right? They had the Vietnam War, they had Watergate, they had all these gas problems, and then all of a sudden disco's like, hey guys, it's no problem, let's just dance. Which is not bad. It's a real thing. And my guest today, my old friend, lead singer of funk band Roxy Roca, Taye Cannon, has done just that. He's gone rogue. He's released a solo single called Diamonds. He released it a couple weeks ago on 10X Records. It's produced by our dear mutual friend AJ Vallejo, who you haven't heard about in a long time, right? But Taye Cannon made this song Diamonds, which you can find wherever it is you stream and download your jams. Great song, uplifting, good feeling music. Hey, let's just have a good time. Let's just party and have a good time for a little while. Can we just do that? You have to designate time for that. Taye and I have a great conversation about that, about what's been going on with Roxy Roca. Roxy Roca is still together. He's just gone making some solo singles, doing some stuff outside the box. Some changes have come across Roxy Roca over the last couple years since the pandemic hit. They had to stop playing for a while. So we talk about all that kind of stuff that's been going on. And also, Taye has started, has gotten back into acting. He's in this movie that's in the Austin Film Festival this weekend. It's called Super Therapy, The Echoes of Babylon. I think it's a short film on there. Anyway, he's been doing a lot of that stuff, doing some commercials, going on auditions. We talk about all kinds of stuff like that. And also a great duet that he's putting out on 10X Records as well. Mick Jagger and Michael Jackson's deep cut classic, State of Shock, which you remember. You got me on my knees, please, baby, please. Remember that? Before Michael was scorned by humanity, Mick was. I like how Mick has gone through this. Like Mick's like, hey man, I'm a dirtbag, right? Cool, all right. It's only if you go around saying you're really good as if you get really canceled. Anyway, he did State of Shock with a very surprise guest, which he will talk about in the conversation. Great conversation with my old friend Taye Cannon. We had to do it over Zoom, but he actually looked great. Yeah, he's doing auditions on Zoom, so he got all the right lighting and shit. So he looked fantastic, had a great background, and always has a lot to say. Smart dude, fun dude to talk to. Roxy Roca has been one of my favorite bands for the last 10 years to go see. I always have a great time when I go see them. He's a great frontman. He's a great singer. He's a great songwriter. So here talking about his song Diamonds and everything else is my friend Taye Cannon. Let's get down.
Never saw us coming, nothing they could do. We kept the engines humming, making tables for two. All across the world, baby, under the blue. We're the kind of diamonds that always cut through. Hands on the wheel, black leather to thrill. Pedal to the metal, baby, over the hill. We're Bonnie and Clyde, baby, two of a kind. We're the kind of diamonds that always cut through. Never saw us coming, nothing they could do. We're the kind of diamonds that always cut through. Red tattoos and the finest hotel.
Dude, you have like a whole professional Zoom thing going on.
Yeah, you know, I do acting stuff too, so I have like the setup already. I actually want to bring this in a little closer. I hate it when you see the edges like that. But
let's talk a little bit about that. My cousin Emily was on a set with you.
Yeah,
dressing you.
Yeah. That was actually a commercial.
Yeah. Well,
Pretzel
that's man, in
commercial.
acting. That's where it all, you know. Even super famous people, like they're still trying to get something. Like maybe I can be the Clorox guy. You know? Yeah,
man. It's whenever that stuff comes along, it's a good day. You know, it's a good day. Day to make a little money.
How long have you been doing this? How long have you been acting? What's
probably about 10 years.
Okay.
I had just started to get where I was going to be a little more like busy with it. And Roxy Roca just started touring like crazy. And I had an agent and everything. And then, we were on the road. I mean, that was like 2015 through pandemic, basically just like turning and burning. So I just kind of stopped doing it all. So getting back into acting was kind of a gift of the time off.
What did you go like, oh, maybe I should get some new headshots done and reach out to an old agent or something?
Yeah, I reached out to my agent and he was like, I've been keeping an eye on you. You're still an entertainer. I've seen you out there doing it. I figured you were busy. Might want to update your headshots because your headshots are from like 2012. But so I updated the headshots and started doing, auditions and like short films and stuff like that started popping up and I started booking them. And so it's been great. Been working at that.
It's a different animal. Some people kind of like lump all of entertainment in together, but like I couldn't, I didn't try. I did it when I was a kid and it looked like I had a proclivity to sort of like be natural, pretending to be someone else. I don't know what kind of consistency I would have had with it or something, but like when I think of the idea of like doing a play, that sounds horrifying.
Right.
And then I got to be like a small part in a couple of movies, and that's the most fucking boring thing I've ever done in my life.
Oh, really? You didn't enjoy it?
No, you just sit there by yourself in a trailer.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I do.
Yeah, you know what I mean? I'm a terrible auditioner. That's the other thing.
What's that?
I'm a terrible. Everything I've ever gotten, they were looking for exactly me before I walked in.
Right.
Anything I've ever tried to get, I've never gotten.
Yeah, auditions are like, man, it's just the worst, man. It's tough.
It's humiliating, man. It's rough.
Yeah, just recently I had this commercial and I just felt like I had it in the bag. Like the minute I got the script, I was like, oh yeah, this is me, whatever. Did the audition, turned it in, did the self-tape, turned it in, bam, got a call back. And I was like, yep, I knew it. This one's going to be it. And then I got to the damn callback and it was one of these Zoom ones like this. And it was like, but it was a different app. It was like something called Hey Joe or something. And I got stuck in the app. It wouldn't advance me all the way up until it was like time to go. And I was so frustrated. And then then they let me in the room. They're like, okay, go.
Oh, God.
God. It was just blank.
There's a great, did you ever watch that show Entourage?
You know what? Not as much as everybody else. I think I've seen scattered episodes, but
there's Kevin Dillon is an actor in it, and he's like in his 40s, and he goes in, he's frustrated, and he goes in and he reads, and the main guy is like on his phone the whole time.
Yeah.
And he just breaks and like freaks out and starts screaming at the dude.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's a real, I feel you. It's like a real thing almost, It's like sometimes you're like, why am I even here?
Yeah. So now you're juggling 3 hustles.
Yeah.
But the Roxy Roca thing before the pandemic, that was all you guys were just on the road all the time.
That was it. Yep. That was it. That's all we were doing. Yeah.
So you guys I saw you had a crowdfunding thing to make a record. And
yeah. Are we in this thing?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Okay, cool. Yeah. We started.
I'm a sneak attack interviewer, dude.
No, I love it when they start like that because I'm just like, hey, are we just chatting? Because we're friends, So we're catching up.
Yeah.
And I'm like, are we just chatting? Or are we starting? Yeah, no. Yeah. So, man, we have the best fans in the world, dude. It's just we've never done anything like that. And after the pandemic, just to set it up a little bit. We had just been touring nonstop, going. For about 4 years, like crazy.
Yeah.
And and then people leaving and then coming back in town and like hiring somebody else and like, here, learn these 60 songs and then let's get on the road. Just constant. And it was like, it was crazy. So we had finally thought like, you know what, the writing's suffering. We have no time to do anything other than this. And let's take a little time off and let's write some music. And we did that. That was about late January pre-pandemic.
Oh, 2020.
And we were like, we're going to take 2 months off and we're going to write because we have this tour coming up. We have some private events to backstop the time off.
Right.
And we're going to just like, we're going to write and then we're going to hit the road. And it's going to be great.
Right.
So we, during that time, some weird things kind of happened. So the band's not used to having time off. We took a little time off and suddenly our horn players decided that they wanted to just try some other things.
Sure.
Not even music, just life things. And so we started writing songs as a 4-piece and we're really kind of digging what was happening. I mean, we were just like, you know, it was becoming a little bit, it was still funky, but it was like rock and roll. And like, we were just kind of letting loose a little bit. And then we got about 8 or 9 songs together and then bam, COVID-19, you know, it was like tour canceled, private events canceled, like everything just like doom, you know?
Yeah. Well, with those, you know,
and then we were like,
I don't know if people realize this, but I did, there's a lot of people like I ended up doing so much podcast, but I'm in Skyrocket that does a lot of private events too. And we were actually the first couple of months we were able to get by on just deposits. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I know. It's crazy. And we had a few that hung on for a while and then they just eventually, you know, canceled.
Yeah.
It was like pushed it and canceled.
The event that reschedules 5 times and they're like, that's it, man. We're just going to get married at the courthouse.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So, man, it was a lot of that. And then, and then, you know, when all that hit, it was just like time off. I mean, we weren't getting together. We didn't know. We were just like anybody else. We didn't know what was safe, what wasn't safe. My drummer's wife was, you know, pregnant and we just had a lot of stuff going on and no one felt comfortable really getting together. And so it just became off time, you know?
Yeah.
And, that's when some of these other things just started to come into fruition, you know, and that downtime.
Yeah. So did you reach out to AJ during that time?
Yeah.
Vallejo?
Yeah. Yeah. That was cool. It was great how that happened. Actually what kind of started all that was when we had that time off, I just started like, I don't know. I was in this point where I was sort of trying to like, I guess like really do a deep dive on myself as an artist. Cause at the same time we had COVID-19, we had the George Floyd stuff and like everybody was doing like these, like, you know, I was like, just kind of, where am I coming from? Who am I doing all this like deep soul searching? And I had this thing that I went through. I wouldn't even gonna get into this, but hey, it's a podcast. Had this thing that I went through where it was like, I'm so heavily influenced by like James Brown and Al Green and, you know, Ray Charles, B.B. King, like all these guys.
Right.
That you know, when I was doing some like soul searching through all that stuff, I was just like, you know, I'm trying to be these guys and I'm doing all this stuff. I've been doing it in Roxy Roca, doing the James Brown thing for so long.
Right.
I started to feel like, was I coattailing it? You know, was I like, like trying to be them in a way that was like maybe doing the music a disservice or something? I don't know. I went way in there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it really messed with me. Like I felt like, am I going to come out of this pandemic the same performer? You know, because I felt myself like letting go of some of the stuff that I had been doing, you know, almost like I was a perpetrator a little bit. You know?
It's fucking heavy though, dude. I mean, that's heavy.
It was super heavy.
Yeah.
It was super heavy. And I had a hard time even talking with anybody about it because it was like, it was my own like exploration of like the influence of Black music on me and like how I am as a performer, you know, and if I was honest, every night I took the stage in Roxy Roca, I had James Brown in my head. I had Al Green in my head. I had those, you know, I just felt like that's who I was embodying, you know?
Right.
And so it was wild, man. So I went through this whole long trip on that and came out the other side just being like, oh, well, what am I? What am I going to do here? And I thought back to when I was a kid and like the early music video era. And like, I was heavily influenced by like that because I'm old enough to remember like the beginning of MTV and Night Tracks and Friday Night Videos and all that stuff. And how my musical influences were all Night Tracks, right?
Yeah.
And how my musical influences were are just all over the board, you know, like, you know, and I started writing songs, and in that like 80s kind of like just anything goes vibe, you know?
Yeah.
And, I reached out to AJ and told him about it. And he was like, hey man, I'm feeling okay about getting together. If you're feeling okay about getting together, it's just the two of us. And we started getting together and writing, and it was just a blast, man. We started writing this like 80s influenced music, but in a little bit of a now, wrapped in a little now state of mind, you know?
Yeah, I know what you mean. That's a thing. I mean, have you ever heard Primo? She's from here, Primo the Alien. She's actually playing ACL today, but there's like a thing, like when I first heard what she did, it's so true to that era that I was like,
yeah,
why are you making your stuff sound like 80s dance music? But yours is definitely a lot more modern than that. But it does have that feel. Yeah. I know what you mean, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I just wanted to I wanted to embrace that because I just love that music. I've gotten to the point where I don't know if it reminds me of childhood so much, or if the songs are just all good. I don't know what it is. I almost like anything from that era. It's crazy. Like even the stuff I didn't like when I was a kid, I'll hear now and I'll just be like,
exactly.
Oh, it reminds me of this. Right.
Yeah.
And you know, I just love it all, from the new wave stuff to like just the straight up, Casey Kasem stuff, you know, like the thing that I remember. I was joking with my brother. I remember like tracking the countdowns with my brother when we were kids, you know, like came on every Sunday.
Yeah.
We're like, Sweet Dreams Are Made of This was #1 last week. And, you know, Every Breath You Take was like right there. Is he going to pass it and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, I had that same thing. Those Sundays where, have you ever heard the tape where he freaks out?
No.
I'll send you a link. It's fantastic. He's doing a death dedication, and then he goes into some kind of up-tempo song, and he flips out on the producers, and they just kept the tape, and it circulated.
Oh, my gosh. That's amazing.
Yeah, it's amazing to hear that voice real angry and saying the F word and everything.
Man, I love that guy.
Yeah, me too.
I definitely got a special place in my heart for that guy. I listen to the reruns sometimes on iHeartRadio because it's just like they play the old countdowns.
Yeah.
And it's like, if I'm having a bad day, I just turn that on and it's just like.
Yeah, what a great, it's funny, you know, man, I wondered, it's weird. How does anyone even know how anything's doing anymore? Like, there's so many fucking different ways before you had like.
Yeah.
Your record sales and radio play. There you go. That's it.
Yeah. I don't know I know it all changed, Johnny, but it just like, it changed so fast. It feels like that, like sometimes my head's spinning. I'm like, is there even a top 40? Like, what is even out right now? Like, and the fact that like, you know how when you're touring a lot, it's like you're in a bubble. That's like time doesn't exist outside of like the road.
Yeah.
And like, I just heard The Weeknd for the first time, like about like in 2020.
Right.
And I'm like, this is killer. This is like 80s stuff. Like, well, at least the stuff that he's doing now.
Right.
And it sounds very like, you know, MJ to me and like Prince and like some of that stuff. So, yeah, I'm just trying to catch up, trying to keep up.
I had that in the 90s. I was completely like, people would be nominated for Grammys and I had no idea who they were. And it was because I was in a van, but we didn't even have a radio in the van. So yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of the time.
Yeah.
So, you know, man, so you got a deal though with this label of AJ's, right? To put out the single?
Yeah. 10X, which is, I guess it's a label that AJ's works with or affiliated with. And we haven't even dropped the single yet. And there it is. So it's pretty cool. I'm excited about it. I don't even know the ins and outs of it yet. We're still kind of working it all out, but it's exciting, man. We're in this world. We'll probably do some singles and, we got something really exciting coming up after. So Diamonds will be the first single.
Okay.
And I shared that with you. And, after, we'll drop that a first single and then a music video, to drop on the 10th with it.
Yeah.
And then Tomar Williams and I are going to get together. Do you know Tomar from Tomar and the FC?
Yeah.
Yeah. So he and I are going to get together with AJ, and we're going to do a remake of State of Shock. You remember that tune?
Yeah.
It was a Jackson's tune, and it was like Michael and Mick Jagger. So we're working that up now. It's going to be so fun, man. So that's going to be the B-side.
On my knees. Please, baby, please. Yeah.
You got me. Yeah. So
there was something I was just about to say. When I heard Diamonds, I was like, it reminded me that after this last year and a half or whatever, that everyone's kind of experienced the heaviest they can from the George Floyd thing to a pandemic to, a divided country to all of us being alone with our thoughts too long and turning on ourselves and trying to figure out who the hell we are and redefining and all this stuff. It seems like there's a trend in music now that's coming out that's like, hey, let's just fucking dance.
Yeah. It's funny that you say that too, because I played it for a few people and they're like, wow, this is brave of you to like put this out. This is like a lot different than what you do. And like, this, that, and the other. And I just thought, man, to me, I've always had musical ADD. I mean, and maybe it's from growing up in the dawn of the music video era, because it's like, Rod Stewart followed by Human League, followed by followed by Run DMC.
Right.
And so my tastes were all over the board anyway. And it makes me think of like the whole like State of Shock tune, right? Because it's like here you have Mick Jagger, who was like definitely in like the biggest rock and roll band in the world, but he's also doing like this pop thing with Michael Jackson. And in the 80s, everything was okay. It was just like, let's have fun. Let's dance. Let's have a good time. So coincidentally, it's like in that vein, it's like, this is another side of me and music that I've always liked. And I'm just one of those people that like, I liked Nirvana at the same time I liked Bobby Brown and Keith Sweat. I just did. Yeah. And I remember people saying that when I was a kid, like, wait, you listen to all this grunge stuff, but you also listen to like Babyface and Bobby Brown and Whitney Houston. I'm like, yeah, I like it. You know? So it's weird. But
I was just listening to Babyface the other day. And I made my own New Jack Swing playlist on Spotify to relive that era.
Man, I do the same stuff. And that era was, and he wrote so many of those songs in that era. People don't realize, like that guy was writing for everybody.
Yeah. That Whitney Houston song, I'm Your Baby Tonight. That's my favorite Whitney Houston song. And that's his song.
The Babyface song. Yeah.
Babyface.
And like the Bobby Brown stuff, like the Don't Be Cruel album, like that. He wrote a bunch.
Yeah. Every Little Step's one of my favorite songs, period.
Yeah.
That's just a great song.
That was a great feel-good era as well.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think that's great. And so you have you're going to do that cover. Do you have other songs you guys wrote and recorded?
Yeah, we started another tune called Valley Girl, which is kind of about when I met my wife, which she's a Valley Girl, but Texas Valley Girl from the Rio Grande Valley. So I did a play on Valley Girl and wrote a song called Valley Girl. So we're working on that. We're going to try and work up a really killer, like Robert Rodriguez-esque video for that, and and after that we're going to keep writing and have fun because we're just having a blast. I mean, you're friends with AJ, it's like AJ and Frenchie, I've worked with both of those guys and they're both so similar in ways in the sense that like, they're not just producers, they're rock stars and they're like rock and roll encyclopedias.
Yeah.
So it's just great to in those situations because it's like you're just everything you want to talk. It's just a nonstop talk about music and history,
I don't know if I've ever been with them together. That's weird. Oh no, I know I have. It just seems like if you brought up Warren DeMartini, then they would all of a sudden go into like a room together.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. I don't even know if they're tight, but they should be because they're just like they're both that dude,
Yeah, I know. It's weird. I'm really good friends with both of them, but they're never in the same place at the same time. Usually I'm at one of their places though.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I've known AJ for a really long time because Vallejo formed in Birmingham and I was living there then.
Oh, really?
So I knew them before they ever even moved to Austin.
Wow.
So AJ and I go back to like, geez, what is that? Like 96, 95.
Wow.
So it's really cool to like be doing this together, because we're just such old friends, but we were both like busy all the time. And now we're just kind of like reconnecting, and through music, he's like my Mark Ronson, you know?
He's a good Mark Ronson, man. He's really like turned his studio into a little industry over there. Yeah.
And it's a great experience, man. It's laid back. He knows how to do everything.
Yeah. And he's fun as shit to hang out with.
Fun and shit to hang out with, and just a great dude.
So,
and
let me ask you this: with the Roxy Roca stuff, you guys have new stuff you haven't started recording. You're going to. That's what the crowdfund thing was.
Yeah. So the crowdfunding thing, it was through this group out of Houston called Edgewater Music, and they kind of they help you do a Kickstarter type thing, and then you record in their studio in Sugarland. So it worked out great. I mean, like I said, we probably would have never done a crowdsourcing thing. They gave us the confidence that like, hey, your fans care about you.
Right.
They would have no problem doing this. It's, you don't have to feel guilty about it or whatever. And so, like I was getting into earlier, man, we have the best fans in the world, dude. They just came out like out of the woodwork, like almost immediately. And we were like close to our goal, like in the first like week and a half, you know?
Right.
And it was just, man, it was moving. It was touching, because it also like reinvigorated everything too. Because it's like, we're more than just a band. We are our fans. We are the shows, the thousands shows we played, you know, or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like become a thing, you know. It's more than just us as individuals. And so it's a brave new era. I mean, it's going to be the first Roxy Roca anything without horns, you know.
So you're not see, that's what I was going to ask, is what happens now, and how different is the new Roxy Roca record going to be? So no horns, that's pretty huge.
Different. Yeah. We're going to find out how different, but you know, it's still going to have the same soulful, funky vibe to an extent, but it's just the guitars are going to be turned up, and the arrangement's going to be tight and smaller, and focus a lot on rhythm section and some riffs, you know. And we're going to see where the writing takes us. I mean, it's exciting to reboot it like that.
Yeah. Have you guys played it all this year?
We did a party out at a vineyard, like a wine thing. One of those parties we'd had booked.
Right.
They were one of the ones that it said, let's just do it anyway, because it's outside or what. So we played that one event, and we played that's the only show we've ever played without horns. We played that with a 4-piece and keys, and it was fun, you know, but we were still kind of connecting the old songs, and then we weren't even playing the new stuff. So it was kind of like this odd COVID-19 show, you know, where we were just kind of pulling it all together.
Right. And I guess in the style of music that you play, it's difficult. You couldn't really do live streams, like playing to an empty room.
Yeah, exactly. Not really
exciting.
Exactly. Yeah. And we're just in such a pivotal spot with the music. You know, it's like, we got to see what can be brought forward and what has to be left behind, and what the new stuff, how it all, you know, gels. And it's exciting, man. You know, there was a time there, this has also been, you know, pretty private, but there was a time there where we were like, should we just change the band name? Like, you know, if we've been this thing for so long, and, you know, it just didn't feel like we needed to. It felt like we hit the 10-year mark as a band, which is a feat all on its own. And it just felt like, man, I remember when Octoon Baby came out, you know, I thought, whoa, what? Is this you too? Like, you know, so I just thought, you know what, it's still going to be the same singer, same drummer. You know, we've got the same bass player we've had for a little while now, and we're, you know, it's still us. We're just going to shake things up a little bit.
Yeah. The spirit is still there.
Spirit's still there. Yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
And the vibe will be there. The energetic live show and all that. So, and we dropped a single. When did we drop that? I don't even remember now. It's been, I think it was since the pandemic, but called Mind Blown. And we put a video out for that and we dropped that. And that's a arrangement without horns. And it's did do well, people are digging it. So it's out there to listen to, but
yeah,
we'll see where it's headed, Yeah. I'm excited about it.
Congratulations on getting married. I know that was like a couple years ago, right?
Yeah. It's been, a couple of years now, and just exciting, beautiful, just happened.
Yeah.
I always joke around with people. I met her on the night of that I had kind of sworn off relationships. Like the night before, I literally said, you know what? Like, I'm just going to just give myself to my career. It's rock and roll or die. I'm okay with like the tour lifestyle and not really home and all that. And that's just what I'm going to do. That's what I'm going to do. I gave it up to the universe in a meditation, and then one of my buddies was like, you got to go out with me tonight, man. I really want to go out. I got to just stay. I'm like, man, I don't know. Tamika was playing at Native Hostel. And I walked in and I looked over and it was just like eye contact, and it felt different and felt odd and beautiful. And we just kind of did that thing all night of like, are you going to talk to me? And then I finally started talking to her, and it just worked out perfect because she was a big Tamika fan. And Tamika happened to see me and she was like, hey, Taye, she came over and talked to me. So I got like those points,
Yeah. Helps to know Tamika Jones.
Yeah. And Vivian didn't know me from Roxy Roca or anything. So it was just like, it was an actual first meeting.
Right.
So yeah, the rest was history, man. It was like one of those things.
So when you guys got married, you were gone all the time. And then, you were home a lot. All the time.
Yeah. And then suddenly I was home a lot. Yeah. Which you enjoyed. Yeah.
That's good, man.
So, yeah.
I was married, and when it ended after like 10 years, everyone was like, oh, it's because you were always on the road, right? And I was like, no, it's because I came home for a year. And that's it. She was like, oh, you're this guy, and also like you're cramping my style, because you get your, our life on tour is so. Speaking of U2, I read this thing where Bono said that his wife makes him live at this hotel that's close to where they live for 2 weeks when he gets off the road to slowly integrate him back into his life so that guy doesn't live in their house. Is what?
And that's not a bad idea, to be honest with you. It's like, it's a weird feel. It's a weird transition. And it's almost like, we used to call it like tour fog, because it's like you come back and you're like, you're not depressed, but you're also like missing this like endorphin rush every single night. And like you don't think about, like we talked about earlier, you don't think about life when you're on the road.
No.
You're just like, I remember, and you always feel like when you realize like, oh man, like 2 days have gone by and I haven't even checked in with anybody. And you're just like, you just can't slow down, because it's like you play till like 3:00 in the morning. You barely get back to the hotel, you crash, but then you're playing in like 2 states away the next day, and you're like up, and you got a 10-hour drive to load in, and then you unload, and then you play, and you do it all over again.
Yeah.
And time literally just stops. I mean, it's just like that. That is living in the moment at its best,
Are you able to write and create out there, or?
I would write in the van a lot, staring out the window or whatever. But it's the writing in general, like as a band, would suffer a lot when we were playing that much, because we didn't have that much downtime. And when we did have downtime, I wasn't talking because my voice was gone.
Right.
And so it was like, because we were still, the road was different. It was like one night we might be opening in an amphitheater for like St. Paul and Broken Bones. And then 2 nights later, we're playing at the Green Parrot in Key West, and we're playing 4 90-minute sets.
Right. Jesus
so
Christ. Are you serious? 4 90-minute sets?
Yeah.
That's like Hamburg or something.
Yeah. No, it's crazy. And you do it's 3 90-minute sets.
That's still a lot.
It's still a lot. And you do it, you stay at the Parrot, and they have this apartment in the back, and it's really great. It's a lot of fun. They push you up, but you play Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and you play 3 90-minute sets every night. And then Sunday you play like a happy hour show. Oof. 1 90-minute set.
Oh,
but
nice.
no matter what, no matter what, I was like this after that weekend. You know, it's just like absolutely no vocals left, none. And so we'd have to take like 3 or 4 days off. And then sometimes I didn't ever fully recover for the rest of the tour from that. And not just that place, but like those all-nighter kind of shows where we're playing all of our music and then we're playing a bunch of B-side soul and blues stuff. And we're just playing all night long, you know, Beatles stuff. So it was just, you know, I had calluses on my vocal cords and all this kind of crazy stuff. And so if anything, you know, it's been great that I've had a little bit of a break.
Do you have like a regimen that you do? Do you have like a warm-up regimen? Do you have someone you see? Is there a daily thing you do when you're not playing?
Yeah, I mean, I have some things working for me. I don't drink. I've been sober for 15 years, so I don't drink. I don't smoke. And so that helped a lot. And then I tried to do like meditation pretty regularly. I would drink, you know, tea. I always warmed up before a show when I could, you know, in the van or whatever. Yeah. So it was like, I just threw everything at it. And I think it took that to get through, you know, like, you know, some nights some weeks, sometimes we play 10 days in a row and then we'd have a couple of days off, and some days it would be only like 4. So you just kind of like start trying to make it work. Yeah.
I've seen you. I fucking love you, man. I think that you're really a talented and incredible performer and a great singer. And I don't think I wanted to say this earlier, but I guess it adds suspense for the listeners, right? I don't think you're a perpetrator. I think that when you come from a place of love, like you obviously do with that stuff, and you're inspired by that, by those singers. Like, man, they it doesn't matter what color they are. You're inspired by them.
Yeah. You know, they mean the world to me. I can't even I can't. And I think that was what started it. You know, it was like when I took some time off and to really think about the situation that was going on and like how much, you know, Black culture had meant to me and a lot of people. Right. And when I did that is when I went down that rabbit hole of like, well, who am I and have I been doing this? But I appreciate you saying that because, you know, it's heavy, man. You know, you don't really know where to draw the line. You know, I mean, there's no doubt there's been a huge chunk of James Brown in every show I've ever played, you know, and stuff like that. So, but I appreciate you saying that. It's all in me. That's for sure. Yeah.
So, are you going to play shows as yourself in support of these songs?
You know, don't know yet. Haven't even crossed that line yet. We're going to put out songs and just keep having fun putting out songs. And if there's a demand there at some point, I think we'd look at it and see what that looks like. I'm definitely not saying no. Right now, the focus is on writing and recording these songs, putting them out, and then also Roxy Roca and, you know, getting that going again in this like new era of that. And that's the musical focus right now.
Are you going to still are you still going to do like a lot of private stuff or as much private stuff as possible? Because that's
the private events. Yeah. You know, we're looking at, because we're still really good friends with Royce and Michael, who is our longtime horn players. So we're looking at like a thing we could have where we still have that material on deck to do those kind of events, to keep that going. Cause a lot of what got us a lot of those private events were the fact that we had that element. Yeah. And that we wore suits and we dressed nice and we would show up in the horn section and they danced and the whole thing.
Exactly.
So if we could still do both, it'd be great.
In our thing, we've lost a lot of gigs because we don't have a horn section. It's mostly like those private kind of gigs. And there have been several gigs where we brought in a horn section.
Right.
Just because it's like, all right, this is too good to pass up, you know?
Exactly. Yeah. And I thought about that too. Like, even if those guys weren't available, maybe hit up like Carlos and Rollo and those guys and see like, you know, if they're, you know, getting it playing. I don't know. Are the Groove Line horns even still together?
I think they're going to start playing every week at Seaboys now. I just saw that like on Instagram yesterday. But we Rollo played with us a couple of shows.
Okay.
And Cesar played with us.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love those guys.
Yeah.
They're amazing.
They were with I guess Carlos was somewhere else, but it was those two dudes and a blind guy.
Okay.
I can't remember that guy's name.
Yeah, I haven't seen him yet, but I've always been a fan of those guys.
Oh yeah.
They kill it.
Yeah. So you guys, are you guys going to be doing any public shows at all? Any?
I think, man, Johnny, I don't know. I think it might end up being 2022.
Wow.
We're looking at like, because we still have to like, we want to make this record, right? Because our fans help fund this record.
Right.
And so right now we're looking at, we want to play these new songs a lot. We're still working on finding, we're currently right now working on finding our permanent guitar player moving forward, because Austin, our most recent guy, he kind of got into a country thing during the pandemic time, and he's out on the road doing that now. So we're finding our ace guitar player right now. And we also want to write with him and give him the opportunity to play on the record and all that. So the focus is going to be on writing, working up the new show, the new sound, and going in the studio. So I think that it'll probably be a little while, at least through the end of the year, maybe. Does
that freak you out at all?
It would have before. It would have pre-pandemic. I think that the downtime of 2020 just took some of the shock off of like a notion like that.
Yeah.
And I've had so much fun just writing and recording and creating instead of playing. That I think by the time we do start playing again a lot, we're all going to be just like so ready for it that it's going to be really something to see.
It seems like there's been a couple of different sort of like mindsets that people have come out of the big part of the pandemic with. And like some people are like doubling down. They're like, I'm going out on the road all the time. Like, you know, no one's going to stop me again. And then there's other people that are like, man, year and a half off was great. I don't really need to play all the time, do I? You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. It's like we started talking about that a little bit even before COVID. It was like, tour smarter, not tour harder kind of thing, and trying to figure out what we were going to do next. And, we've played, I don't know, we've done like 10 US tours. We've done 2 trips to Japan, and we've never gone to Europe. And so right now I'm thinking like we might focus on just Texas and Europe whenever we start hitting it again, because it's like our style of music, even a rock and roll version of our style of music is popular over there. Like rock and roll is still alive over there, you know, like in a major way.
Yeah.
So, give that a shot. See if that's, maybe even try and find like a indie label in the UK or something that might want to put out this record, or, something. We're just going to explore some options that way.
Yeah. Well, when do you guys head into the studio? Oh, you don't know when you're heading into the studio yet because you don't have a guitar player.
Tentatively January.
Okay. All right.
I would just like to play. I would like to, we want to finish writing these new songs and play them 100 times before we go in the studio and like really kind of feel it out. And so that's the plan. And we got just kind of like, it's been a year of creativity and just, I'm an artist. It's what I'm going to do. I'm doubling down on that lifestyle. So it's like just doing a little bit of everything. And
it feels
keeping that going. I actually wrote a film with my buddy Michael, who was actually the trombone player in Roxy Roca. He's also an actor. And we actually wrote this short called Super Therapy during that sort of the end of the pandemic.
I have that written down. I was going to ask about that.
Yeah. It was crazy. We ended up entering this, someone entered us into this film festival called the 100-Hour Film Race or something. And basically they give you like a few prompts and ideas, and then you have 100 hours to write, shoot, and edit a film.
Oh, that's awesome.
And then turn it. Yeah. And so you're basically up for like 3 or 4 days just doing nothing but a film. And it was really weird. We just like, I don't know where it came from. I think just because we were in that spot of like, pause and creativity, that it was like, I had some ideas about when I was a kid, some some fictional like superheroes / sci-fi characters that I'd made up and used to draw comics of when I was a kid. And I threw one of the characters out at Mike. We started bouncing around these ideas, and we ended up writing this short film, and we ended up doing really well in the contest, and we won a bunch of awards. And so we entered it in a slew of festivals this year, and it got into Austin Under the Stars in Austin. So we'll have that on the 24th of October.
Awesome.
And Reno, our lead actor in the film, got nominated for Best Actor. So it's moving, man. It's cool. We're going to try and do it. Yeah, it's exciting. And all rooted out of like this beautiful universe that me and my big brother created when we were kids. And obviously Michael's influence on it as well as a writer. So it's pretty fascinating.
How long is it?
It's a short, it's like 15 minutes.
Still, that's pretty long. I mean, for 100 hours.
Yeah, no, it's so long. It's about like a 30-minute, sitcom length without the commercials.
Right.
So it's about 15 minutes. It's sort of a pilot, if you will, for like a possible web series we might try and put together. So we're going to shoot the second one in January, and that's the rough draft of the script is already kind of written out. So,
dude, that sounds awesome, man.
Yeah, staying busy.
Yeah.
Just did this beautiful film called Father with this director out of Houston named Alfredo Ruiz, and it's going to be gorgeous, man. It's it's also short. I think it's going to be 15 or 20 minutes. I'm not sure, but just a beautiful film. Had a great time doing it. So yeah, just enjoying working that muscle.
Totally, man. Eventually, once they've gone through their festival circuits, shorts are like available on, like, how do you make that available to people? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know 100% yet, but I think Michael's working on that and trying to figure all that out. And once like the exclusivity of like the festival stuff passes, we'll be able to put it up somewhere. And hopefully, I mean, the idea is to shoot a trilogy of this particular concept, and then put it up somewhere and see if there's some angel investors that are interested in like maybe funding like a web series or something. So that's awesome. We've got the ideas flowing. They're going. The characters are fun. So have you ever written anything else on that level? I wrote a feature film that I'm just kind of sitting on. I'm still rewriting it and all that. And I actually wrote that also during the pandemic. Stay pretty active creatively through the pandemic. Wow. But it was an idea that had come to me when I was on tour, and I won't get into the idea, but because it's still not out yet, but it was an idea that came to me when I was staring out the van for hours, on the road. I started writing in the spiral notebook, and later on I just turned it into a screenplay. So that's fucking rad, man. Yeah, it's cool. I'm enjoying life, man. I got no complaints. Did you ever take classes on it or anything on screenwriting? On the writing of it? Yeah. I didn't, man. I wish I did, because I'm just kind of winging it, but I've done a little research. Oh, sorry. But I was going to say, I know like two different schools of people. There's people that go to film school, and then there's people that are like, no, you just read that Sid Field book. And I got the Sid Field book, but I feel like I still need a teacher. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that I don't know. And I had this guy that that's like in the business that I was bouncing the script off of a few times. And, he would even kind of say that to me a little bit, like, there's something really nice and organic about this, but there's some strict rules you got to follow when you're writing these things. Yeah. And so basically his way of saying back to the drawing board, son, Yeah. And so I would go back, and I'm actually probably going to start working with a ghostwriter, a friend of mine named Donovan, on this particular script. And, he's written a bunch of screenplays. And so maybe we'll work together on you. So you're friends with Alexandra Valenti, aren't you? Didn't you guys work with her? I thought she did something with you guys, like a video or something. But I remember talking to her one time about it. And she goes, oh, no, man, you just go download some script that's really good and just follow all of the rules of it, Yeah. Where the action happens in between page such and such and page such and such, and these things need to hit. You need to hit these things in every,
right.
At these certain marks. And,
yeah.
And I was like, you're crazy, man. That's just the weirdest thing. And then I remember like 2 years ago, there was some guy I was listening to. I can't remember who that guy was either, but he had written some really successful movie. And they were like, so did you go to film school? He's like, no, man, I just downloaded a couple scripts off the internet and figured out how they flowed and just copied it. Yeah.
Yeah, it might have been Quentin that said that. I'm not sure. I don't. Did he go to film school? I don't remember if he did or not.
No, I don't think he did. He worked at a video store.
Might have been him. I know that he had a wild experience like that when he was writing.
Maybe it was
I actually did. I did the same thing as well. Honestly, when I was writing this one feature, and it was like, I just kind of tried to follow the rules, like read a little bit and be like, okay, I see what they're doing, and then do the same thing. Because the story's in your head. You just got to get in that format.
Right.
And then kind of talk the dialogue out a little bit. And since I'm an actor, I can just kind of like, as long as if I'm alone with my dogs, I can just kind of like talk it out loud and type. So it's fun. It's been fun, man. It's been it's a awful year for so many people, and also giving in other ways. It's just all about how your perspective is on it, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I think you've definitely made the most out of it.
I feel like it's kind of what you got to do, right? You got to just like, always like Errol used to always say to me, hope springs eternal. He used to always say that, and it's like one of those things that just stuck with me. It's like, you got to stay like positive and go and just make the best of it. Happiness is a choice,
Yeah. My girlfriend always says that to me when I get grumpy.
Mm-hmm.
But if I choose to be grumpy, though, that's my main thing, is like, I'm choosing to be grumpy then.
Yeah, and you can.
Yeah.
You can choose to be grumpy.
Hey, before we go, tell me a little bit about, if you don't mind, talk a little, how do you, I've tried to meditate and I've had people try and shit, but I feel like my mind just is always going crazy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, a lot of people call that monkey mind, right?
Yeah.
And it's a very real thing. And you just got to there's many ways to meditate. For me, it's literally sitting on a cushion, closing my eyes and taking deep breaths through my nose and in the nose, out the nose for me. And I just kind of sit there with it. The mind slowly starts to calm down, or it doesn't.
Yeah.
And I think they call that equanimity, just being okay with the randomness of your mind and knowing that like, okay, I'm going from like this fast paced lifestyle where, we have more media and waves coming to our brain than ever before. And then all of a sudden I'm going to sit down and be quiet. Of course you're going to feel that way,
Yeah.
Of course. But it's just, you just keep breathing through it and you just force yourself to sit there. Timers always really worked great for me. I would set a timer for like 10 minutes and just be like, come hell or high water, I'm going to sit here and breathe for these 10 minutes and then extend that to 20 and then extend that, and go further if you want, or 20 is a good maintenance every day amount of time,
Right.
So, you can always learn more. I mean, I did a meditation retreat called Vipassana that they do up in Kaufman, Texas. And it's a 10-day meditation retreat. And so you're basically no phones, no pens, no paper, no anything. You're in a room with a cot and you basically wake up in the morning and you meditate for what ends up being like 10 hours a day for 10 days with no contact to the outside world. So, so you can take it that far if you want to.
Christ, yeah. How was it? Amazing?
It was amazing. It was, sorry, my dog's trying to get in the interview here.
Yeah.
This is Bean.
Hi, Bean.
It was amazing. It was an exploration, man, for sure. I mean, you work through so many things. I mean, one is just like, so it's not like 10 hours straight on, right? It'll be like an hour and then 15 minutes break and then 2 hours and whatever. It's like that. But just sitting for that many hours a day with your back straight and just trying to like breathe, it starts working out the kinks in your whole body in a way that you realize that you didn't realize could happen. You know, it's like you're hurting everywhere, and you start to realize that a lot of your stress are just like these little knots that you tie in your, like, let's say you're driving, right? And someone cuts you off in traffic and flips you off, and there's some exchange there, and you're pissed off about it for like the rest of the day. Well, that like ties this little knot in you, basically.
Right.
And that knot's in there.
Yeah.
You know, it's in there until you do something about it.
Yeah.
And so most of us have like a lifetime of that in us. And so after like about the 6th day, you realize that all these knots are starting to untie. There's a looseness to your overall like body and state of mind. And you realize that you're just letting go of like, just like Freud used to talk about like the cellar, right?
Yeah. Like
the mental cellar. And you're like opening that door to that cellar for the first time since you were a kid, and stuff's just coming out. I mean, you think of stuff that like, you know, crazy stuff, you know, like you'd be sitting there meditating in the middle of the day, and then all of a sudden you're thinking about when you really upset your teacher in 3rd grade, and you may or may not have made her cry, and like just everything starts coming up.
Wow.
And so, man, when I left there, I definitely felt like a new person. But you know, life slowly starts getting at you again, and it's a never ending journey.
Start getting the knots again.
Yeah, like almost immediately, unless you do heavy maintenance, which I have not done. You need to keep that.
Right. Does your wife meditate?
I still do it. What's that?
Does your wife meditate?
She does sometimes with me, but she's a physician in residency. So she's working like 85 hours a week, and she's just like,
yeah.
So we do sometimes together, but she's open to it for sure.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. That's a pretty,
and my practice is upside down right now. I mean, just to be totally honest, you know, it's like, I still do it, but it's not like it has been at times when it was really, really there. I think everybody has an on and off relationship with it, you know?
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. Except for like yogis and stuff or whatever, those guys. But yeah,
right.
I know people that are heavy meditators and all that stuff. And then you see them like a few months later and they're like, whatever, man, I don't know.
Yeah. I don't, I asked this guy one time that was like a sort of a guru of mine that was a meditator. And I don't know him personally, but I reached out to him online, and his name was Shinzen Young, and he did like, he did crazy stuff. Like he sat with these marathon monks in Mount Hiei in Japan and all this kind of stuff. So the question was, if I'm going to do one or the other, 20 minutes a day for many years, or a 10-day retreat, what will be the most benefit? And I actually thought it was going to be the maintenance thing. And his answer shocked me. His answer was the retreat is possibly even more important than a daily practice. And I think it's because once you go that deep down, you know what is available to you, and you know like that there's more to it all.
That's right.
You know?
Yeah.
So like, I'll never be the same again because I did that. Even if I don't meditate all the time, I know now there's more to this experience than just what we see every day, you know? And so that's in me now forever. It's like, whether or not it's like you said, like we said earlier about choices. I have the choice to pursue that or not pursue that, but I know it's there.
Yeah.
I know there's this beautiful thing that I don't quite understand, and that's okay, but it's still up to me to get to it, you know?
Yeah.
So I would encourage anyone that's interested to do that. And it's no charge. It's, you know, it's a 10-day truly spiritual retreat, you know? Wow. It's not like some big business.
Right. It's not like a $12,000 10-day retreat.
Exactly. No, they're like, yeah. And they feed you and guide you through it.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Like your dog agrees.
Yeah. You hear him? Yeah. He's like, when is this thing going to be over? It's time to throw the ball.
Diamonds is a great song, and I really look forward to hearing the new Roxy Roca record whenever you guys make it. And congratulations, man. It seems like you're in a really great place.
I'm feeling that way. I appreciate it. I'm glad you liked that. Glad you liked the tune. So you cranked it up, gave it a good listen.
Yeah, I gave it a few listens.
Cool.
Yeah.
Far out, man. Well, yeah, give it a whirl, and we'll be in touch. I'll keep you posted on stuff.
Yeah, man, please do. And if you get out and play a show or something, or next time you and AJ are hanging out and you need someone to be weird for your entertainment, I can do that.
Yeah, come get weird with us, man.
Yeah.
We'll get you on something.
Okay. Yeah, you
Let's
can
take
put
it
my
back to
weirdness.
Night Tracks.
Night Tracks, baby. That makes me want to go find it on YouTube and start watching like old Night Tracks.
Oh man, you remember? I don't know if you ever did this, but we used to push the jam box up to the television set and record the audio.
Yeah. My first band, like we were trying to learn all these songs, but no one had the money to buy all this music. So there was like I Love Rock and Roll. I remember I learned it. I didn't learn it from the da 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 da. I learned it from bow down out when it goes to the 4 chord, like. Because that's by the time I was running to push record.
Yeah. That's so funny. Yeah. I love it.
Yeah,
I love it. I can remember that too. Like, oh, that's how that song starts.
Yeah.
When you get later. That's funny. And sometimes the video version was different. You know,
a little
it'd be
bit,
like that have like something was like either a little slower or faster or it had some weird intro or or some talking at the beginning. You know.
Yeah. Or that reminds me of when I first was like, well, I have a tuner and my guitar's in tune and I'm playing every chord in between where it sounds like it is, but then someone tells you about vari-speed. They're like, oh no, when the song's a little slow, they speed it up a little bit and it ends up in like no key.
Yeah. It's neither.
Yeah, no discernible key. Well, dude, it's been great talking to you, man. And it's great to see
pleasure,
you.
Man.
I look forward to seeing you again in person. And it's great to see you.
All right, we'll be out there.
Stay cool.
Take care, brother. Later.
Wet tattoos and the finest hotel. Tangled up in sheets.
That's Taye Cannon from the band Roxy Roca with his solo song Diamonds, produced by our dear friend AJ Vallejo and available on 10X Records, wherever it is you stream and download your jams. Great tune, man. Great dude. Go check out RoxyRoca.com to find out what's going on with that. Great conversation with Taye. He's a fantastic dude. I've always liked talking to him. I've always liked hanging out with him, and I love watching him perform. Fantastic performer. You'll hear the rest of this song, Diamonds, in just a second. Gang, don't forget when you're out there checking out all this stuff, don't forget to subscribe to this podcast, wherever it is that you find podcasts, be it Apple Podcasts, Spotify, TuneIn, Overcast, Stitcher. New shows all the time. We're doing 3 shows again this week. I know. I've just got to get all of these October ones out. And then, because I'm doing like 6 or 7 this week. That's almost a month's worth of shows. Jesus, what am I doing? Anyway, here's the rest of this great song, Diamonds. Available wherever it is you stream and download your jams. From my friend Taye Cannon, lead singer of Roxy Roca. Have a great week, whatever it is you're doing. Let's get down.
Tattoos and the finest hotel. Tangled up in sheets. Yeah, we're giving them hell. Work it till it hurts. Never kiss and tell. All these wet tattoos and these fine hotels. Hit the ground running, it's a diamond life. Kept the bass pumping deep into the night. It's you and me, baby, always doing it right. We never fuss and fight, always keeping it light. Love-struck dreamers on the boulevard. Taking every corner, Louis V. chiffon. Blowing in the wind like a tailspin. We're the kind of diamonds that always shining. We're the kind of diamonds that always shining. Wet tattoos and the finest hotel. Tangled up in sheets, yeah, we're giving them hell. Work it till it hurts, never kiss and tell. All these wet tattoos and these fine hotels.
You know, girl, I've been running my whole life. Running from something I couldn't even find. Searching all around the world. Little did I know that something was you.
Way beyond the southern sky. Gallivanting looking, but we just can't find that hidden treasure we've been looking for. Maybe it's just all love, baby, nothing more.
And the diamond girls go.
Wet tattoos